Hi, I'm Dr. Gurung. I'm a consultant psychiatrist. In a day, I tend to listen to two or three podcasts. One of the podcasts is always related to a summary of the book. In a day, I tend to read 40 to 50 pages book, and currently I'm reading this lovely book, The Ageless Brain. I've started this book, and hopefully I'll finish this book by next week. Just want to summarize a lovely podcast that I have heard. And this podcast was talking about a book, How to Be Disciplined, written by Howe Sheldon. There were a couple of things that I have learned from this book, and it also gave me an opportunity to reflect my own views around discipline. I'm going to summarize this book through 5 points, but before I summarize this book through 5 points, there are a couple of things that I want to share, which I think will be useful for people. And discipline is like an engine, motivation is like a spark. Discipline is to do the things even if you're not interested, to keep on doing things, and discipline is the one that creates skill. Skill is the one which comes from practice. Talent is something that you are born with. Discipline is the gap between yourself now and the desired self that you want to reach. Discipline, consistency are the things that makes a common person into extraordinary person. Now the five things which I've learned from this book is: number one, when we talk about discipline, is about self-identity. When you talk about self-identity in discipline, it's the way you view yourself matches your actions and beliefs. So we need to be mindful of how we think of ourselves. For example, if I think myself as a disciplined person, this is the way I view myself, and it follows with the actions. Action creates a belief, and belief creates a version that you intend to become. So it's very important when I say I'm a disciplined person, it's also important to adopt the identity of a disciplined person. So before you become something, you also need to act in that certain way to get the desired self that you want to become. So this is number one, self-identity. Number two is when you're talking about being disciplined, you also need a clarity on what you want to achieve. Clarity means aware of a target that you want to achieve. And target also you need to divide and break it into small, manageable habit. They also need to be a bit of flexibilities in order to manage the anxiety. So the number two is to have a clarity target. Number three is when you break the task, it also needs to have an automation. You also need to think what you want to achieve in a day. Like, for example, let me show you. This is what I do. This is a week, month, and this is how I break it. The things that I want to achieve in a day, and once I achieve, I cross it off. So it's also important to for you to write the things that you want to achieve. The things that you write indirectly, it goes from your views and imagination into paper, and from paper, at least it gives you a chance to make them into reality. So automation, prioritization means you should also develop a habit of saying things no to the things that doesn't add any value to your life. Self-talk is also very important. The way you talk to yourself also creates a sense of discipline, and it also um, enforces your self-identity. We also need to be aware of self-limiting beliefs. For example, if I say myself that I'm a doctor, then I tend to adopt the identity of a doctor, and I would not be able to think anything which doesn't fit my identity. So I need to be aware of how I address myself. So this is number 3 point. Number four is um, discipline is like a marathon. It needs study, constant increment daily. Discipline is not a sprint. It takes a lot of patience. Number five is during the whole process, there might be a lot of moment because of family commitment or because of other priorities. You might slip up and you might go in a loop. So, in order to avoid that, we also need to create empathy towards ourselves. We should be able to forgive ourselves to address the self doubt. And number six, which is also part of it, is during the process, we might face a lot of failures, but it also depends how you view failures. For me, failures are feedbacks for me to get better every day. One of the things is when you follow a discipline, you also need to be aware not to have the perfection idea. If you have the perfection idea, then you become fearful to experiment with things. So keep in mind that just to remain calm and inner self also help you to become disciplined. Now, just to summarize the things that we have, which I have said so far, in order to be disciplined, number one thing is you need to work on self identity. Number two, clarity in your task. Number three is automation, prioritization. Number four is self talk is also very important. Reflect on the self limiting belief. Consistency, able to forgive yourself, and also remain calm. Practice as a daily habit. So, these are some of the things that will help you to become disciplined. Thank you very much.